The ingeniously creative banner headlines on the front pages of major newspapers in Nigeria on Monday, 29th of May 2015, the day all Nigerians had waited for with bated breath for the swearing in of Nigeria's fifth democratically elected president, a major watershed in the 16 unbroken years of multi-party democracy in Nigeria, helped to further signpost the significance of the day, which many may have taken for granted. Headlines like Buhari, a new dawn for Nigeria, historic takeover. The world focuses on Nigeria as Buhari takes oath of office as president. Abuja agog for Buhari. Will Buhari break the jinx of underperformance? All of this set the tone for the inauguration ceremony of President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, which took place at the Eagle Square, Abuja, the nation's federal capital. Nigeria couldn't have asked for a better, well-coordinated inauguration that will go down in history as one that attracted the largest attendance of people from all sections and sectors of Nigeria, Africa, and indeed the world. Leading the world's largest and most vibrant democracy is Mr. John Kerry, U.S. Secretary of State, who stood in for President Barack Obama of the United States of America. From Africa were President Jacob Zuma of South Africa, President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia, Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe, John Mahama of Ghana, President Yahya Jammeh of Gambia, Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta of Mali, Alpha Condé of Guinea, Alassane Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire, and Idriss Déby of Chad. Altogether, about 50 heads of states and governments across the world attended the inauguration. All former Nigerian presidents and heads of state were also in attendance. These included General Yakubu Gowon, Alhaji Shehu Shagari, General Ibrahim Babangida, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, Chief Ernest Shonekan, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Members of the 7th National Assembly were led by Senator David Mark, GCON, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Emeka Ihedioha, who will act as Speaker until the 8th Assembly is sworn in, as a result of the fact that Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal has been sworn in as the Governor of Sokoto State, was also in attendance. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator Ayim Pius Ayim, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, ACN National Chairman Chief John Odige Oyegu, General Tiwa Danjuma, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, Mr. Femi Otedola, Mr. Jim Ovia, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, were joined by ministers in the Jonathan government, as well as some governors and prominent members of the new ruling party, APC. Honorable Chibuike Amechi, Senator Bukola Saraki, Dr. Kayode Fayemi. It's pertinent to state here that new governors in 29 of the country's 36 states were also being sworn in simultaneously throughout the country. To enliven the atmosphere as preparations reached top gear to begin the program proper, a heavy provision of music ran the air, with Fuji music top star Wasiu Ayinde Marshall, FaZe and P-Square taking turns to entertain the enthusiastic crowd.
Shagari, I want to walk through the what you want to get just to tell you how far. Sapa Balewa, Habeka Koli, Amadu Bello, Jaja Obobo, Taye Shonari, Princess Koremi, and part of me, Unago Alama, I can to see noise, to the singer, the dance, and the people, they rejoice, my brother, my sister, not me today. If you do the work, bad day, make way and go the Baba God, now your hand up. Yeah, see, my people, On a good day, nobody will come for this.
The parade, which showed the officers from the three arms of the military, the Army, Navy, Air Force, and the police, in a colorful and majestic display of their fitness and professional competence, was one of the spectacles that captured the imagination and attention of the entire crowd, which hailed them ceaselessly. After the parade, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and his wife mounted the dais where the Vice President took the oath of office and oath of allegiance. This was administered by the Chief Justice of the Federation, Justice Mahmoud Mohammed. After that, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, and his wife, Hajia Aisha Buhari, took their turns on the rostrum. The oath of office and oath of allegiance were administered on President Muhammadu Buhari by the Chief Justice of the Federation.
What shall become known to me as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, except as may be required for the due discharge of my duties as President, and that I will devote myself to the silent and well-being of the people of Nigeria. So help me God.
After that ceremony was the transfer of the copy of the Constitution from former President Goodluck Jonathan to President Muhammadu Buhari. Former President Jonathan also transferred the instrument of office to President Muhammadu Buhari. At that point, former President Goodluck Jonathan took a most graceful exit. It now became incumbent on President Muhammadu Buhari to give permission for the parade to end. As is traditional at such occasions, pigeons, which represent a sign of peace, were released into the air with 21-gun salute. This is to mark the ascension into the office of President Muhammadu Buhari. He then mounted an open-roof Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon car in which he was driven round the Eagle Square to take a lap of honor as he acknowledged greetings from enthusiastic Nigerians from all parts of Nigeria. In his inaugural address, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, began by pouring encomium on former President Goodluck Jonathan for laying a solid foundation for democracy. He promised to build upon the democratic culture laid by his predecessor. President Muhammadu Buhari promised that he will be a president for all and administer the country according to the Constitution. President Muhammadu Buhari stated that the challenges posed by corruption, insecurity, and the economy, which is currently at its lowest ebb ever, are daunting but not insurmountable. He promised to tackle head-on the Boko Haram insurgency, which he considers of immediate priority.
At home, we face enormous challenges: insecurity, pervasive corruption, the hitherto unending and seemingly impossible fuel and power shortages are immediate concerns. We are going to tackle them head-on. Nigerians will can fix our problems. In recent times, Nigerian leaders appear to have misread our mission. Our founding fathers, Mr. Herbert Macaulay, Dr. Nulele Azikiwe, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Alhaji Ahmad Bello, the Sandrana of Sokoto, Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Madam Aminu Kano, Chief J. Starka, Museo Ita, Chief J. Osabile, Chief Ladoke Akintola, and their colleagues who are to establish certain standards of governance. They might be found in their vessels or tactics or procedures, but they were united in establishing a vibrant and progressive country. Some of their successors behaved like spoiled children, rating everything and bringing the order to the house. Furthermore, we as Nigerians must remind ourselves that we are heirs to great civilizations.
President Buhari promised to overhaul the rules of engagement of the military in tackling the Boko Haram insurgents. This is to avoid human rights violations in the operations. President Buhari has directed the Military Command Center to be relocated to Maiduguri in Borno State, and he says they will remain there until Boko Haram insurgency is completely subdued. The president said that we cannot claim to have defeated Boko Haram without rescuing the Chibok girls and all those held hostage by the insurgents. President Muhammadu Buhari congratulated Nigerians for showing unflinching commitment to democracy and admonished them to endeavor to entrench the culture and make it a way of life for all of us.
I would like to thank the millions of supporters who believed in us even when the cause seemed hopeless. I salute their resolve in working long hours in rain and hot sunshine to register and cast their votes and stay all night if necessary to protect and ensure their votes count and were counted.
He thanked former President Goodluck Jonathan for the support he gave to the transition process, which has made it possible to show to the world that despite the perceived tension in the land, we can be a united people that can do what is right for our people. President Buhari also extended gratitude to Nigeria's neighbors in the sub-region and Africa who have helped us, especially in the fight to stop insurgency in Nigeria. President Buhari, who promised to be president for all, said Nigeria has a golden opportunity which we should all join hands to utilize judiciously to move our country forward.
These years are priceless. There will be no paying off old scores. The past is prologue. Our neighbors in the sub-Saharan region and our African brethren should rest assured that Nigeria, under our administration, will be ready to play any leadership role that Africa expects of it. Here, I would like to thank the governments and people of Cameroon, Chad, and Niger for committing their armed forces to fight Boko Haram in Nigeria. I also wish to assure the wider international community of our readiness to operate and help combat threats of cross-border terrorism, sea piracy, refugees and boat people, financial crime, cyber crime, climate change, the spread of communicable diseases, and other challenges of the 21st century.
President Buhari again reminded Nigerians that the national consensus is that the only route to national development is democracy. He promised that the executive under his watch will not encroach on the duties and functions of the legislature and judicial arms of government. President Buhari promised to build and reform the public service to become more effective. He charged the legislative arm to keep to making laws and carrying out oversight functions expeditiously. President Muhammadu Buhari said the judicial system needs to be reformed to cleanse itself from its immediate past. The judiciary should act with dispatch on all cases, according to him, especially on corruption, serious financial crimes, and abuse of office. President Muhammadu Buhari said that it's when the three arms of government act constitutionally that government will be enabled to serve the country optimally and avoid the confusion that has been the bane of good governance in Nigeria today. President Muhammadu Buhari said that although the amnesty program in the Niger Delta region is due to end in December 2015, his administration will invest heavily in the projects and programs now going on. President Muhammadu Buhari also touched on power, unemployment, especially among the youth, and promised to attack the problem frontally through revival of agriculture, minerals mining, and credits for medium-sized businesses to begin their own enterprises. Finally, President Muhammadu Buhari, who described the Nigerian press as the most vibrant in Africa, appealed to members of the fourth estate of the realm to exercise their considerable powers with responsibility and patriotism. He appealed to Nigerians to be more united for the task ahead. At a well-attended dinner that took place at the banquet hall of the presidential villa, Abuja, the nation's capital city, the celebration of the great epoch of the successful inauguration of Nigeria's fifth democratically elected civilian administration continued with a well-packaged program, which was characterized in the main by music and messages from leaders of the new government, who attempted to set the right template for President Muhammadu Buhari as he settles down in office to face the task of the rebirth of a nation which is seriously fractured on the basis of distrust fueled by differences in religion, ethnicity, and political leanings. In attendance were some foreign heads of state and government, former Nigerian heads of state, members of the National Assembly from the PDP and APC, and other political parties, as well as prominent Nigerians from different spheres of our life. Entertainment was supplied by the National Troupe, which gave a series of performances that took the audience around the country. Korede Bello, Bongo Zikwe, and other acts thrilled the audience, while fast-rising comedian Akpororo also entertained. By far the one who stole the show was daughter of billionaire businessman Femi Otedola. She dazzled and sparkled as she dropped heavy joints, as they call it, from the jukebox of the DJ, to the excitement of everyone, as some people in the audience danced along.
I don't shoot my name to body. I know more, I don't buy more nobody. There's nothing to do about it. There's what's gonna be, gonna be. What goes up must go down. What's gonna be, gonna be.
Those who addressed the audience included Mr. Timpre Silva, former governor of Bayelsa State, who was the co-chairman of the Transition Program, former governor of Lagos State, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. They all congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, the APC, and indeed all Nigerians as a whole for the success of the inauguration of a new government in the country, the first opposition party to defeat an incumbent president. President Muhammadu Buhari was praised for his indomitable spirit, tenacity of purpose, and above all, his strength of character, which are all key ingredients that propelled him to give the presidency of Nigeria another shot after failing on 3 previous attempts. They say his resounding victory at the polls is a firm attestation that he was the one Nigerians preferred most for the great task of effecting a change in all the areas where change is urgently needed, so that the confidence reposed on him by all Nigerians will be fully justified.
Our president has had a long walk indeed, and today we have finally arrived at destination. This long walk started as far back as 2003, and today finally we arrived at our destination. And because it is the season of long walks, we also see a lot of people walking around Nigeria. People walking from Lagos all the way to Abuja. People walking all the way from Yola. The long walk season has ended today because the walk has arrived at destination.
Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, congratulations. Professor Emi Oshibayo, congratulations. Congratulations to millions of Nigerians at home and abroad. Congratulations to Africa. Nigeria is ready to lead. We celebrate the coming of President Muhammadu Buhari. In him, we have a leader who is principled, bold, determined, passionate, and determined to lead. God bless each and every one here tonight. God bless friend of Nigeria, near and far, and most of all, may God bless the President Muhammadu Buhari.
Our democracy is the winner, and Nigeria is the winner. I heartily congratulate our new President, Muhammadu Buhari, and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on their elections and their assumption of office today. And Mr. President, I wish you good rest and good luck in your future endeavors. I thank the various countries that have been represented at today's event, and especially those that have, over the past years, stayed engaged in Nigeria's democratic process. I thank you for your attention and support for Nigeria's democratic development and for coming to celebrate with us today. True. Once more, I congratulate Presidents Buhari and Jonathan. I thank you all for coming. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The chairman of the All Progressive Congress, APC, Chief John Odige Oyegu, proposed a toast in what he described as the long walk to victory. Chief Oyegu, who sported the traditional attire of the Benin people of Edo State, his native town, with matching beats, said, with President Muhammadu Buhari in the saddle, there will soon be a light at the dark end of Nigeria's tunnel. He then asked everyone to toast the success of the APC government in Nigeria under President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I invite you to drink a toast to that new Nigeria of our dreams. Please be upstanding. Glasses fully charged. And I do say, let us drink to the health, to the prosperity of this great nation of ours, the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
In his remarks, President Muhammadu Buhari again restated his plans to work with all interested parties in Nigeria and even outside the country in the urgent task of correcting all that needed to be corrected. President Muhammadu Buhari thanked millions of supporters of his party, the APC, and his cause, even when things looked hopeless. He also thanked some of those who did not vote for him, but contributed in no small measure to make the democratic culture in Nigeria very competitive, strong, and definitive. President Muhammadu Buhari solicited the cooperation of all as he embarks on the arduous and gigantic task of giving Nigerians a new direction, to reinvent our country, and bounce back to recognition as leaders in Africa and an emerging power in the world.
We have realized our progress. We have made a sacrifice. Nigerians pray a lot. We need to pray even more for luck, so that the expectations our people have, especially the youth, to sustain development, it's now on us with less resources in terms of debt servicing, less revenue from oil, to do much more. But I believe the cooperation of Nigerians, the cooperation of developed countries, and with our natural resources and our talents, I believe will make a lot of progress. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of my party, the All Progressive Congress, on behalf of all Nigerians, I thank you very much.
With Britain and the United States openly verbalizing their support for the Buhari administration, other well-meaning countries around the world, and Nigerians too, joining hands together with the new government of President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, certainly a new dawn, a new chapter in Nigeria's history beckons.